think you're worried about being sold, because I see you sitting there like this.
Arms crossed, legs crossed.
See.
Yeah.
You don't need to be sold on real estate. You're at our real estate conference.
Right.
You already sold yourself on real estate. You know, you've seen the people here, some of these people here before. You've heard them. You're sold on this is a great vehicle, but you're not sold on yourself.
Hey, I'm Rich Groves, and today we're talking about Gateway to Freedom, the Real Estate Investor Conference being held right here in St. Louis, October 17th, 18th, and 19th. I'm a real estate investor here in the St. Louis market, and I bought my first rehab in 2005, and I've been connecting real estate investors ever since. My co-host, Josh Wiesler. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Rich. Thanks. Well, I'm Josh Wiesler, and I'm actually a small business coach in St. Louis, but I got my start in coaching and just in the professional world through real estate investing. I started wholesaling about 7 years ago. I've rehabbed. I've ran property management. I've ran projects. Years ago, I was an agent for 4 years. I worked at a title company. So if there's something to do in real estate, I've done it on one way, shape, or form. And then I'm also pleased our other co-host for the event is Mary Kane.
Hey, guys. Yeah. Mary freaking Kane's in the house. So, hey, I used to manage big events just like ours, but they were 3-day sales seminars. Have you ever been to one of those?
I have. I know. I
yeah.
have.
Oh, yeah.
So our event's going to be a little different. We're not going to have any sales at the event. I want to share with you like what happens at these events and what's going on with the team at the other kinds of events that you've probably been to. My guess is some of the folks watching this have been to some seminars on real estate or other entrepreneurial opportunities. They feel sold, they feel like they're being pitched. They feel like they're being bombarded with maybe even shame if they don't buy. I've seen those kind of teams in action. I've worked on those teams.
I've been sold at those events.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I've changed those teams. So like I told you guys, I went to my first event like that to make sure my boyfriend didn't buy. Wasn't sold at those events. So those teams are getting a lot of pressure from whatever corporation they're working for. They're given goals on how much to sell, on how many to sell, what percentage of the room to close, what percentage of the sale to collect. And they all get paid on those
metrics.
Metrics, thank you.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of pressure going on if you're not with a team that has ethics behind them. And I sat across from many people who were on my team who were feeling high pressured themselves. And this is before I was a manager and I was just like floating around on teams, and they were confused. They were confused about what their source of abundance is, meaning they thought it was the student sitting in front of them that they had to sell.
Right.
So I was just kind of taking that stuff in, that information in, and observing these teams. I went and started my own team and became a manager and weeded all those kind of tactics out. So as the manager here, of course, it's one of the reasons I joined you guys is that there are no sales. And I still love sales events as long as they're done ethically, but majority of them are not.
You hit on a great point there. Is a lot of times the sales teams look at the people at the event as kind of their product, and it's become transactional for me. Like in my journey, in my experience, I was transactional in like my wholesaling. I was transactional in my relationships, and we've got people that are wanting to come to this event or thinking like, why would I come to this event, where they've got these pressures of they're already like in a 9-to-5 where they don't like to be, or their business may be like hitting roadblocks or obstacles. And like, then they go to this event and they feel like their only way to move forward is to buy a 30,000, 50,000, 70. I mean, what was the highest cost package you've ever seen sold like at those events?
60,000.
60,000. Right. So like in order to have that success, their next step is, oh, I've got to now shell out $60,000. And that was one of the things I feel like, and Rich, you can talk more on this as well, is like, that wasn't the vision that you had when you started talking about this.
Yeah, no, I've been to those events too. And then, all props to them or whatever. Like Mary said, they're valuable if they're done ethically. But when some of those events you go to, it's following a pitch, like a 2-hour pitch. And then you're all pumped up. All right, I'm going to go to this weekend event and I'm going to learn everything there is to know about real estate. I'm going to hit the ground running. And the first day, great, you're getting a bunch of information. The second day, you're still getting a bunch of information, but it's starting to look like an infomercial. And then that third day, it's a complete infomercial. And there might sprinkle in some information for you. But either way, at the end of the weekend conference, you're not going to know everything there is to know about real estate investing. And even at Gateway to Freedom, you're not going to know everything there is to know about real estate investing. It's not a magic bullet. You still have to do the work. You still have to make the connections. You still have to build your teams. Like Mary said, this isn't, and Josh has said, this isn't a sales fest. We don't have an overall package that we're going to try to pitch to you throughout the event. Some of our speakers might have mentorships or coaching packages, and they might mention them to you and offer them to you. And that's great. Find the person you connect with and go talk to them a little more about, hey, what's in your coaching package, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so? Tell me a little more about it. But we're not going to be trying to pitch you the whole weekend. That's for sure. We're not pitching you at all.
I think these events, whether it's our event or the sales events we've mentioned, they're really just meant to be like there's what's called a preview. So that might just be a 1-hour info thing, right? Like we might go to a RIA and talk about it. And it's just kind of a nudge that goes, hey, have you heard about that movie? And then the 3-day event is the preview to the movie. It's like, hey, do you hear about the movie? You want to buy a ticket? I don't know. Let me see the preview. And so the preview is usually a little cheaper. Maybe it's a few $100s or so, right? And that is to say, here's what the possibilities are in real estate. And here's what the movie could be for you. And then if you really want to move forward, then you invest in your education, right? And that's when the big ticket items come out and all that stuff. People don't realize, and they get mad because, I wanted that magic bullet. I wanted to fix my whole life this weekend,
And I've been there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I used to think would do it. Yeah.
So whether it's our event or a sales event, it's still going to be the case. Like you said, you're not going to know everything by the end of the week. But the great thing about the Gateway to Freedom event is that it is a taste of what is happening in St. Louis by the people who are doing it in St. Louis. And you're going to be able to create a team while you're there. You're going to be able to network while you're there. And you're going to know who the big players are who are loving up this community in the real estate world.
So speaking on those teams and how to like kind of build your teams, what aspects, like Rich, who can they connect with? Like what opportunities to build team members, not necessarily people that they hire, but like what opportunities do we have to build at the event?
Yeah, I mean, you walk into a room, and even if it's like a monthly meetup, you walk into a room. If you know everybody in that room, you're in the wrong room. Yeah. Period. You walk into a big mega event like this, and you're not going to know everybody in the room. Trust me. You might know a handful of people. Even the people that have been doing this for years, they go to Gateway to Freedom. They might even walk in thinking, I'm just going to go hang out with my friends. And they walk in there and like, okay, there's my friends in the corner, but all these other people are potential new friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you never know who you're going to meet in that room that will be your next partner. That'll be your next floor layer. That'll be your next roofer. That'll be your next siding person. That'll be your next partner on a JV deal or some project.
Yeah. You've got multiple different layers. The people in the audience can, like Rich said, they can be your next partner. They can be your next resource. They can be your next lead source. The people on the stage can be your next mentor. They can be your next resource as well. Even a guiding light, even if you're not paying them for coaching, if they have a product, but just really like what they're doing. All of our speakers on our stage, I can speak for the ones I know, and Rich, probably you'll say the same thing. They're all pretty much open books. Like they're willing to give back, which is why they're offering to speak in the St. Louis area. And then you've got our sponsors who are going to be phenomenal service providers just in our local area that will be able to provide you the things you need to either get rehabs done or like property managers or, garage doors, things, whatever it ends up being, right? There's multiple different ways coming into it, you can have different intentions and get different results based on what you need in your business.
I remember the very first mega event I went to, a mega conference that I went to that is exactly how I described earlier. First day was awesome. Second day was half awesome. Third day was a little awesome. And then that was the growth and sales pitch. But I was hooked. I wanted to join. I was like, sign me up. I remember at the time it was, I had mentioned the previous one of these videos that, it was a struggle at that time. It was paycheck to paycheck. And here they threw out everything from, I think at that time, because I'm old and these were a long time ago, it was like 35,000, 25,000 and 15,000 were the three levels. And I was like, look, I just need the $15,000 one to get in, to get a mentor, to get a program, to get a system. So I'm on the phone with somebody and I'm basically asking them to float me 15 grand so I can invest in this and invest in myself. And that person said, look, I'll do it. You're pumped. I know you're motivated. You want to do this. I'll loan you the money. But the only trade-off was I had to sleep on it. It's like, you sleep on it in the morning. Let me know if you want to do it. We'll do it. I'll pull the trigger with you. I'll loan you the money. I slept on it and I decided, you know what? I'll just do YouTube University, even though YouTube wasn't huge. I mean, it was big, but it wasn't what it is today. I was like, I'll just self-research. I'll learn that way. I mean, I still wish I would have bought that back then, just because I still do believe today in paying for speed.
Yes.
The $15,000 would have put me in the same boat. I mean, there's people I know, very, very successful real estate investors, that were joining that same program around the same time I would have been. And I'm like, doggone, man, I'd have been rubbing elbows with these people. And I'd have probably had the same kind of success they had. I totally believe in paying for speed. And I'd have been probably in the same arena as some of these other folks that are killing it and awesome and on stages everywhere, because I'd have been in that same boat.
It sounds like, now that we're all sharing this, like we've all kind of got a similar story. Mine was the same way. I paid $5 grand for my first seminar down in Florida, went into the commercial world and listened for 2.5 days. And then the third day it was like, yeah, if you really want to get the results, buy our $30,000 inner circle workshop, come and do it. And it was one of those, it kind of felt deflating of like, man, I put all this in. Now I've got the energy, I've got the time, I've got this. And now what I'm seeing in this experience with like just our energy around our conference, it feels like a different energy. It doesn't feel like people are trying to be sold. And kind of like our Jason, who was on earlier that we spoke with, like he was in the crowd. He talked about how much it felt everyone was more open. Everybody was more willing to network. Everybody, like the energy was about the education and about the networking and about the value and the experience they were having versus like, okay, this is great. And then now I've got to be prepared for, trying to be sold or figuring out, or like anybody else had that experience where it's like, if you're ready to take action now, stand up and head to the back of the room.
Yeah.
Did you guys do that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got sold that way. I bought a $5,000
sure.
autopilot system and that guy ended up, he's not even in the game anymore.
I actually took that method out of my team.
Yeah.
So we individually coached each person at the conference. So literally there was no running to the back of the room. I tapped him on the shoulder and went, it's your turn. Let's go in the hall. Yeah. And you paid for this. You're here to have a strategy session.
Yeah.
That's not common.
Yeah.
It was common for our team and we did really well just having those ethical sales. But I would propose that the people that come to Gateway to Freedom Conference need to be sold. And it's not on another package of education, but on their own ability, their own potential, their own right to prosperity. And that's when if I have a team doing an event, whether it's your event or any other company I might work for, that's what I lead with. I'm here to sell you. If you think you think you're worried about being sold, because I see you sitting there like this,
arms crossed, legs crossed. Yeah.
You don't need to be sold on real estate. You're at our real estate conference.
Right.
You already sold yourself on real estate. You know, you've seen the people here, some of these people here before. You've heard them. You're sold on this is a great vehicle, but you're not sold on yourself.
Right.
And so I hope that this conference sells people on themselves and shows them like what a great community we have here in St. Louis. We do have great mentors. I just ran into Tim Grimmett out there and gave me a big hug. And like, I know he's loving his people up.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
without a doubt.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
coaches sitting right here in this room. Everyone here is lifting people up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't
100%.
get that with other conferences.
No.
I mean, I'm not saying no one in those conferences loves people up, but there's a genuine sense of locking arms and lifting people up.
And that's the vision behind Gateway to Freedom. I didn't start this thing and ask you to be a part of this to sell, sell, sell. We put together some amazing people who are having tremendous success here in the St. Louis area that have applicable skills and knowledge throughout the entire country. So it doesn't matter if you're here in St. Louis, what they know and are successful at will go and perform in your market. But we deliberately picked people to be a part of this that aren't going to be those sleazy salespeople. Many of our people, or many of our speakers have great programs and great coaching programs for you to join. But you've got to be intentional when you come to Gateway to Freedom. Know you're interested in real estate investing, maybe even have an idea of what it is exactly in real estate investing you want to do, but be open to other ideas and thoughts too. Maybe you didn't know about XYZ topic, and keep your ears open and listen and learn about it.
For me, like one of the things that we talk about and we've been hammering on in this series is, what is your definition of freedom? One of the things we talk about is, if you don't have what your definition of freedom is and really what you're looking to experience in that freedom, everything is going to look sexy. Real estate is the sexy vehicle that most people see as the way to become very wealthy and rich, right? But as we've heard from some people, freedom doesn't mean the wealth. It means the ability to do what they want to do. And then if you have that as your understanding, you're going to connect with somebody that's showing up that way, right? So have an intention and have an understanding of what freedom means for you when you come to the event. Bring somebody with you that you think they could use some freedom in their world too. Like, figure out a person that can help you with accountability, and just bring something to this event with you that you really want to put into your world and into your experience around what freedom looks like for you.
Make sure you're showing up ready to connect with other folks, take some selfies, get some phone numbers, set a goal of how many people you want to add to your phone list every day.
Yeah.
That's how I show up to an event.
And show up wanting to have some fun, because that's a lot of what this is. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be a long couple of days.
Yep.
You're going to have a lot of information. You're going to have a lot of stuff to process. And then, Rich, what were you
I
going
was
to say?
just network with a purpose.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
There's a couple different things that we want you to do in this with a purpose. The first one is go to our website, G2free.com. What I want you to do before the event even happens, there is a list of RIA events in the St. Louis area. There's a link at the top of the page, G2free.com, or you click on that link, you will get a list of the 15 RIA events in the St. Louis area where you can start networking with our speakers. You can start networking with the sponsors. You can start networking with service providers. You can start networking and building your team for your business and how you want your freedom to look.
If you want to get in a position to learn from people like that, to help your real estate investing business, to get you involved in real estate investing, you've got to go to www.g2free.com.
That's G2free.com.
Yeah. G2free.com.
G2free.com.
Get your tickets today, because right now is the cheapest those tickets are ever going to be. If you go out in a couple of weeks, it's going to be higher. So get out and get your tickets today. Thanks so much for joining us today. Have a great day.